Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of General Geekery. I am Brian, and with me, as always, is JD.
Hello.
We had talked about this a couple of times on previous episodes that we intended to go back and revisit list a particular list that we made several years ago.
Way back in 2020, right after shortly after Classified launched.
Exactly. And at that point in time, there was like six figures announced, I think. And we came up with a list, each of us came up with a list of the top 10 figures we would like to see in the classified line. And well, we can't find that episode to figure out what my list was. So,
I did a daily Facebook post about it. I thought Ryan had to, but he hadn't. He couldn't. And I know we recorded an episode about it after our lists were after our after my posts were done, but we can't find that episode. So I'm willing to bet because we lost 4 or 5 episodes to I don't know. The Matrix ate it that year. We had a few episodes with guests, um, and and at least one episode that was just us, and I think it was our list episode. And yeah, they just disappeared. Those guests, at some point, I'd like to try to get them back on the show, but they were understandably pretty disappointed when I had to tell them. So your episode just it it just doesn't exist anymore.
yeah,
Um,
I don't
but
know what happened to those. I spent several hours twice looking for that particular episode, could not find it. And
I listened to at least the first 20 minutes of like 8 episodes from from summer 2020 before after like 20 minutes I'm like this ain't it, because like you said it wasn't in the show notes, and I would have thought we probably would have dedicated an episode to it, and I thought, oh, we probably did. It just it no longer exists to listen to.
yeah,
So
I'm pretty sure we recorded it while I was home. All the episodes that are on YouTube at in that time frame, um, they were recorded when I was in quarantine in Houston.
yeah, because you've got hotel wall backgrounds in a lot of those episodes. So,
Yep.
and all of the episodes with the guests were also recorded while you were home.
Yes.
So it was just now since then, like 2021, 2022, we haven't lost any episodes. So I don't know. It's just like a short string of episodes that just
That's
vamoosed.
that was
So
it was shortly after we were just getting started. I mean, we put out a ton of video episodes in a short period of time, kind of like we're doing right now.
yeah,
Uh,
because my lists, my daily list was put up from late June to early July. So that was like 2 months after we started the video podcast. And we started the video podcast because, well, everybody was home to stay because uh, the pandemic had just started. So, but yeah, so I told Brian, I'm like, I don't know, check late July because my list was posted then. That's probably when it I'm like, no, there are some July episodes. A couple of them were like our favorite Valor versus Venom and our favorite Spy Troops. But
yep, and
our
those were all recorded in Houston.
yep,
That was
but yeah, all the our episode about our top 10 wish list for classified. Uh, yeah,
gone,
so
gone like a fart in the wind. However, JD and I pretty much, I remembered some of them and JD remembered some of them. So we've put my list back together more or less. It's probably accurate to, I would say,
at
I'd,
least 8 of them are accurate to
I'd say
either.
70%, 70 to
Yeah,
80% is accurate. So there's probably maybe two or three on there that might not have been on there to begin with, but
there
we
were
should,
a few that were really fucking obvious. So
uh, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through our lists and see which ones got made and what we thought of them. First on JD's list was Serpentor. And these are in no particular order. Just this is
Yeah,
not.
I didn't put them in any particular order. I put them up as the character occurred to me. And there were a few that almost made the list, but I thought no, because the classified lasts for more than like 2 years. Like I'll spoil right now. Stalker and Rock and Roll, neither of them made my list, although they almost did, because I figured if classified was successful enough to last 2 or 3 years, we were going to get Stalker and Rock and Roll one way or the other. Even if even if the line tapered off after a little while, those two were still going to show up because really, if you look at every relaunch of GI Joe, at some point those two guys do show up.
Yeah.
And now, little did we know at the time that Classified was not a flash in the pan, and it was going to be absolutely huge.
Yeah.
So some of my more pie in the sky sort of uh ridiculous choices
Okay.
have actually come true.
Yeah.
Because the success of Classified has been like, oh well, they've got real ambitious with character selections. So,
Yeah. So
but
anyway,
yeah, my
JD's first pick was Serpentor.
um, who is my all-time Cobra leader? I don't care about Cobra Commander Serpentor. He Cobra Commander commands a faction in my world, but Serpentor is Cobra's leader, and he did get a figure,
He
and
did.
I do have it. It was a bitch of a
Yeah.
time to get a San Diego Comic Con exclusive.
Uh,
Um,
or was it just Pulse exclusive? I don't remember.
Maybe it was a Pulse exclusive, but yeah, he came. He was packaged with his air chariot, and it's a big, beefy, burly figure, and it's fucking awesome. Um, I have to thank Ryan Sweeney for helping me get one because I couldn't get one on my own. I tried. I'm like, wow, this guy's really popular. So
I half-heartedly tried on that, and every time I looked, it was sold out. So, I've never seen one in person. I think they look pretty cool. I think they did a good job with it. I think it's a very good rendition. I am. I was gonna say I'm a little surprised to if I were me back then when we made this list, I would be surprised that they made this figure. At this point in time, after seeing some of the character selections and original characters that have gotten made for this particular line, nothing really surprises me anymore.
I had hope for Serpentor then simply because there were other licensed lines for GI Joe, like way back in the early 2000s. There was a company called Palisades. I don't think they exist anymore. They had a line of mini busts that were about this tall, and they had a bunch of Joe characters.
They still make,
Serpentor actually was one of the ones they made.
yeah.
Um, and there's been statues of him over the years. So I thought there was a chance he could, but I knew the Hasbro wouldn't do him right away. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to put him on my list. Hopefully they'll do him someday.
I didn't think they would back then. I didn't think that they would do the air chariot. The vehicles just seemed too too big of a project to do at the time.
I was surprised about the air chariot. Even when it was announced, I was still surprised
Yeah.
that it was going to come with the air chariot. I figured if we got Serpentor, it would just be Serpentor, maybe with a bunch of accessories, but even now I'm looking at the air chariot over there and I'm like, still can't believe they invested the tooling dollars in that because it's not like there's a whole lot of ways they could repaint it. Um, I mean they could, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that like maybe some sort of comic book or cartoon color scheme or something. That's about the
Yeah.
only thing I can think of. I wouldn't be surprised to see Serpentor come out in the retro line at some point in time.
Yeah, Dr. Mindbender is coming out in the retro line, so I think there's a chance Serpentor might.
If
Um,
Serpentor comes out in the retro line, I'm gonna get him.
yeah.
I have Mindbender. I got the Mindbender. So let's see. The first one on my list, again, no particular order. We kind of put my list together from memory. Uh, is Blackout. the Cobra sniper from the Joe versus Cobra line. Uh,
Um,
he's definitely up there as far as one of my favorite Cobra individual villains. I love the backstory of him having a brother and sister on the G.I. Joe team and him washing
yeah,
out
me too.
the Joe team and Cobra going, "Hey, we'll pick you up," and just being a all around kind of asshole. And I really like that.
Yeah, the guy's Blackout's he's an amazing character.
Yeah, absolutely love it. And they have not made that particular figure yet. So hopefully, I can't imagine that they won't. I think that's one that will get made at some point in time. Uh,
Maybe a couple years, but I do. Yeah, I think judging by some of the latter day figures they have made, I'm sure that Blackout will get his time
yeah, I mean, there's
eventually.
already the gear already exists for him. They can just give him all the stuff that came with low light and the 60th anniversary sniper, and
Yeah,
you just tool a new figure based off the like some of the comic book art actually, or the
or use existing parts, give him a new head and a
yeah,
new pair of goggles, and you're set.
yeah.
So,
Let's see. Next on JD's list is a figure that has not had one but two releases, one in the original line and one in the retro line, and that's Lady J.
one of my five favorite Joes of all time. I She was always going to make my list no matter what, but when she was announced alongside Flint and Zartan for what, early 2022, or was it late 2021, I was not surprised, but I was delighted. Um, and I'm a fan of that figure. I'm a fan of the retro version too. And Yeah, I expect they'll find an excuse to re-release or to put out another Lady J later on down the line too. So,
Yeah.
and I'll be there for
But
it.
wouldn't be surprised. Let's see. Next one on my list, uh, usually ties for my all-time favorite GI Joe figure, and that is the Night Viper.
Um, I am surprised that it has not been announced for classified yet.
I am surprised that it hasn't been made or announced.
Yeah,
Uh,
I assume he has to be in the pipeline at some point. If if guys like the Frag Viper and the Saw Viper are candidates, well, are absolutely coming out because we've seen full on production figures or renders.
yeah,
I know the Night Viper has to be on the list. I'm just really surprised that it has not been announced at the very least.
yeah, same here. Next one on JD's list uh, has gotten made, and it's a fantastic figure, awesome accessories, and that's Spirit.
Spirit, God, I love that figure. I love the classified version. I love everything they did with the classified version. I didn't pick up the Mad Marauders repaint because, but yeah, he made my list because I kind of figured they would, but I figured if I put it out there in the universe, that would they would make him sooner, and then he did. He ended up coming out in 2021. So,
And yeah, it's a
um,
fantastic figure. I have that one myself, and really like it. Next one on my list should surprise. Well, actually, none of the figures on my list should surprise anyone really. Is the Cobra Eel, which did get made twice,
twice. Not
because
really sure why on the second one, but
yeah,
sure.
I think the only difference on the one that's on the retro card is the tampo on the backpack,
Yeah.
which I think they really missed the boat on that by not tooling up a backpack to look like the V1 A Real American Hero backpack and putting it in with the retro figure. I think they would have sold a shit ton more of those figures if they had done that. But here we are.
Uh, the only thing surprising about the eel release is that it took 3 years for it to come out. I just expected the eel would show up earlier in the line than it did.
Yeah. Yeah, same here. And thankfully, I have JD to thank for mine because I was teaching CPR the day that the pre-orders went live and missed the pre-order, but JD got one for me.
Um, and then, did you end up buying a retro one? You did not end up buying a retro one.
I could not.
Um,
I've been on the fence about picking up the retro one, but I just can't see the reason for it. I eventually did get a second eel. Um, so I have two of them, so I really just didn't see the point in picking up the
nah.
I
If
feel
they were
like
gonna do the retro version in the version one color scheme, anyways,
yeah,
I wish they'd done something a little more different with the initial classified release.
yeah.
Not wholly different, like then if you know, like a completely different color scheme, but
I,
maybe black and red or something.
yeah, there's I was gonna say maybe do the darker gray with the dark maroon chest and the gold sigil um would have been a good one for the original for the
Yeah.
classified line and then doing a retro version in the original color schemes. The next one on JD's list also has two different figures, maybe even three. I think, yeah, just two maybe. And that's Zartan.
Three.
Three. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah,
well,
he had the first release, the Master of Disguise color changing release, and then the retro release where he had the cartoon colors.
yeah.
Um,
I thought there was a retro, but I wasn't 100% on that. So, but it seemed
yeah,
like it. So three versions of that figure.
yeah. So
I
not
have,
only has Zartan been made, they've made a few versions of him, and they've all been good.
yeah,
Uh, I have one of each of all of them. Um, Zartan's my favorite bad guy of all time, not my favorite G.I. Joe bad guy. No, he is my favorite villain in all of literary history. And I was really happy when he was announced initially, and I have no complaints every time they announce another one. So,
I have one as well, and really like it. I think they did a really good job with that. Um, I kind of wish I'd gotten the Master of Disguise one, but it was super hard to get, and I just didn't see the point in picking up the retro version myself. I just didn't need it. The next one on my list has also has two figures, soon to be a third, using that mold, and that is the one that ties for my all-time favorite GI Joe figure of all time, and that is the Alley Viper. I We saw that teased in the art on the back of the first wave of classified figures, and it took them a while to make that figure.
yeah, because I remember you put it on your list simply because even though it was there in the art at the top of the collage painting, they had not announced it. Like it was like the bats and the alley vipers were both on the package, but it was a good long while before either of them were actually announced as coming. So I remember you put that on there because they're like, well, maybe they're just teasing us, or maybe they're only going to do it if the line's real successful. And then yeah, we've gotten what was the
They did a Pursuit of Cobra version of it.
second? Well, because there was a Walmart version. I just don't remember what it looked like.
It's the
Oh, with the red
oh,
vest and
yeah,
the black fatigues.
yeah, it's
Okay, and
Pursuit
then
of
we've got a trench viper coming out now that is it's it looks like the 1997 Alley Viper.
Cobra.
So
Technically, it's not an Alley Viper, but I mean, it's an Alley Viper.
yeah,
It,
it the file card basically specifies that the Alley Vipers have their job and the trench vipers uh maintain the fortifications the Cobra sets up. So you know what? As far as I'm concerned, that's them saying, "Hey, it's a division of the Alley Vipers."
pretty much. And I think it's a fantastic figure. I think they did a great job of it. It's a nice blend of the Real American Hero figure and the 25th and the upgrades that they did on the 25th anniversary figure.
I'm right. Um,
they
Yeah,
did some
I have the
cool
first
stuff.
Alley Viper, and it is a fantastic figure.
Yeah, and they did some cool stuff with the 25th one, but I mean the legs were always kind of the weak spot on that 25th anniversary one because they were really skinny. And those guys are supposed to be just beefy gorillas if you read the
Yeah, I always thought the 25th version looked nice,
I
but I
actually
felt like its stature didn't really fit because even it was skinnier than the original Alley Viper figure from 1989. But
yeah. I actually have the 25th anniversary one here. It's the one that you sent me.
oh, okay, yeah, it's a great looking figure on the surface. I
Yes,
just feel like they could have used slightly beefier parts for it.
agreed. I think that's the only thing that's lacking. Um, I made a female version using those legs, and it looks fantastic because
And and the I think the classic it was beefier and it was more imposing, and I think it was a runaway success.
absolutely, yeah. It was a fantastic figure. I absolutely love that figure. And I have both versions of it, and I have pre-ordered um the uh fortification, the trench viper
Yeah.
coming just to pick just so I don't miss that one. Let's see the next one on JD's list again got made. Grunt.
Um, I figured if Grunt got made, I figured he had a chance simply because he had come out in that 4-inch retro line for Walmart.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to see if they get him in the classified line. Um, I figured we'd get Stalker and Rock and Roll first, which I think we almost did. I think Grunt and Rock and Roll came out around the same time, but
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember.
I I I think Grunt is frequently overlooked as just another green guy, but in my head, he's kind of a more badass soldier than he usually gets credit for. Um, and I don't know, I was really impressed with the classified version. I really like the updates they made.
Yeah, I and that's kind of one of the interesting things that I was thinking about earlier that I kind of wanted to was gonna mention when we go into our new lists is because some of these figures are definitely straight homages to the originals, while some of them are fantastic updates to the originals, and some of them are blends of several different figures. The next one on my list is one of those that's a blend of several different figures, and that's the Snow Serpent. That has about three or four different versions of the Snow Serpent blended into one figure. Um, in the classified line. Again, another one that got two two releases. There's the one in the classified line, and then there is one in the retro line. I haven't picked up the retro one yet.
Neither have I, but I do have one of the Snow Serpents, the deluxe ones. I'm probably going to end up with a retro one too.
Yeah,
Um,
I was thinking I'd probably get the retro one of those. Again, I think they missed the boat on it by not giving him just simply giving him the V1 gear, yeah, on the retro card. I
yeah,
like the deluxe figure. I love all the accessories that comes with. I love that it's a blend of several different versions of the Snow Serpent and Snow Wolf. And again,
but
just
I
fucking
wish the retro release
yeah,
had come
just
out with
oh,
with the with the tennis shoe snow with the tennis racket snowshoes and an AK-47.
and a backpack, a decent backpack, and a missile launcher. All of his gear. He needed to
Oh
come
yeah,
with his original gear. Um, but yeah, so two different versions of that. Let's see. The next one on JD's list again got made. Metalhead.
when they announced Metalhead, I was absolutely shocked because I figured if we ever got Metalhead, it would be after we'd gotten some Iron Grenadiers, and I still expected it a couple more years down the road. So I was shocked and delighted when it was actually announced. I was
Right.
because at the time when I put him on my list, I was like, no way in hell we're ever getting a Metalhead. But it was more like I want to see what they do with him in the classified line. But I figured in 2020 it seemed completely unlikely.
It did. And Metalhead was one of the last Joes that I bought as a kid. And I remember just playing with the shit out of that figure because it was so fantastic. It was so fun. It had so much gear and he could carry it all and it was the original a real American Hero is figure is fantastic. It's a fun figure.
And the
And
character's batshit crazy and a whole lot of
absolutely.
fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything about that figure is awesome. And I didn't think that they would make that. I like there's no way that's going to get made. And they did, and they knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, they did.
My only complaint is mine does not stand very well. So if I've got like three problem children in my figure display, and he is one of them.
Ah, uh, does he just not balance well with the apparatus on his back?
Yeah,
Okay.
the his ankles are kind of weak on mine,
Ah,
so he
um,
he he tends to tip. So I have to kind of prop him up with nobody behind him, just to so he
gotcha.
doesn't fall forward. The next one on my
In a
list,
bin, but
the next one on my list is Major Blood. Um, I figured, again, JD keeps saying if the line goes long enough, they'll make this figure. And he was teased in early art. So I was like, yeah, I think if the line gets supported and it goes long enough, that he will show up. And sure enough, and man,
he
I
wound up being
fucking
announced actually early on as a Target exclusive. Um, because when he was announced, he was part of that Cobra Island thing. And so he wound up coming out in the second year of the line. But at the time you made that year, that I, I'm still baffled that they haven't repainted him or re-released him.
yeah,
He's a rough character to do as an exclusive because he's memorable and he was an early Cobra and people tend to like the really early Cobras. But what they
very prolific in the comic books in the early
ended up doing, if you could get one, yeah.
and
What they did with
I ended up getting one. Somebody off the internet, off one of my Facebook groups, got one for me, and then I ended up getting one for you at a convention.
yeah, because I could not get one, and I love Major Blood
Yeah,
as a character. So you wound up finding one at a convention, and I was like, "Fuck it, I don't care about the price. I need that Major Blood," and well worth it. Holy shit, the classified Major Blood is phenomenal.
it is. It is amazing. It's a yeah, like you said, I'm surprised that one hasn't seen a re-release in the retro line. Um, I was gonna say something. Oh, I was just gonna mention that Major Blood is probably my favorite Cobra, like individual Cobra villain.
Yeah,
So
he's one of mine too. Um,
I actually uh started writing like a fan fiction uh when we had the SEAL Team 6 board. And I don't know, I was in Afghanistan or something like that. And when I was
yeah, I
writing,
was gonna say, guys, this is 15 years ago. It's like 14 years ago or something.
yeah, I don't remember what happened to that. I thought it came out pretty good because I tried to blend a bunch of different universes all together and it was fun to write. The next one on JD's list was the first one on my list, and that's Blackout.
Um, I loved that character when he came out in Spy Troops. Um, I was crushingly disappointed with how lame the figure subscription service version was. Um, I would like to believe that if they classify him, that they will do a they will do a bang on kick ass balls to the wall badass version of Blackout. And I think they will. I have faith they will. I don't know how long we'll have to wait, but I do believe we will get Blackout at some point. But um
I did
I
a blackout a number of years ago, and it's one of my favorite customs.
and I have tried to do no less than three different versions of Blackout in three different lines, like a real American hero version, a new sculpt version, and a modern version. And I was never happy with any of them.
I hate
And none of them got finished or posted.
Yeah, I hate that. There's several figures that were Punisher was like that for a long time for me until I did the John Barenthal one. Let's see. The next one on my list is one that we think was probably on my list, but we're not 100% sure. And that is Wraith. I
Um,
really love that character. You know, being the huge Iron Man fan that I am, I love anything armored. I love the like chameleon armor. There's I did it again. One of my favorite customs uh, is a Wraith custom I did probably about 15 years ago, almost 15 years. Yeah, probably about 15 years ago. And I think it still stands up. Um, and they haven't made that one in, and it hasn't been announced. I think I I would be surprised if it doesn't get made though.
yeah, maybe a year or two, maybe 3 years, but I do believe he will come out at some point because he got his first official release. He got his first figure in the 25th anniversary line. So I think he is a future candidate for classified at some point. I have a custom version that was made for me by Sean Grogan, our former guest of the show. He surprised me with it because I got a box from him one day and I opened it and I was like, oh my god, he made me a classified Wraith. He painted it. He got a custom head sculpt for it and he painted it. And I told him Wraith was one of those that I had been contemplating making a custom of for a long time, but I could never figure out exactly what I wanted to do with it. And I love what he did with it. So I was like, well, now I don't need to make one. I've got a Wraith in my collection. But
Yeah.
I would be appreciative if Hasbro would actually make one so everybody could enjoy Wraith
The
in
only
his
caveat
stealth armor.
the only caveat that I want to want them to do is for them to do what they did with the 25th anniversary version and make two of them and have one of them translucent.
Oh, that's right. They made a blue variant, so he was all stealthy. I forgot about that.
Yep. Uh,
I don't own that figure. I had the first Wraith. I had the 25th anniversary Wraith that was silver. I never, I never saw or obtained the variant though.
I think I've got a couple of the variants. I'll have to. I know I've got one for sure, but I'll have to double check. But I'm pretty sure I've got. I know I don't know actually. I know I've got one. I would not not have picked up that figure, but I think I might actually have two. The next one on JD's list is Lamprey.
I have faith we'll get one eventually because they'll put out a classified Cobra Moray that I won't buy. So I may or may not have a lamprey at some point because if they do put one out, maybe they'll put one in the retro line at some point, or maybe I'll pay through the nose and buy one off eBay if anybody's selling one off their moray. But yeah, so far no, yeah, no sign of him. I love the original figure. It's such a slick looking figure, and I like the 25th update. So I just want to see it in 6 inch scale. They don't have to do anything special with it. I like I like those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a fantastic pick, and I would not have agreed with you at some point in time on them doing one, but with the the vehicles that are getting made through HasLab, I really do think that if not the next HasLab project, probably two or three down the line of Moray is going to be that one. And I am going to have a super hard time not backing that. The Moray was one of my favorite vehicles as a kid.
And
I
it's one I've never owned. I had a lamprey that I got through one of those Hasbro direct mailaways, but I've never owned a Moray. So
uh and I have one now, and I mean it's 100% complete. I mean it's got the lens and everything. So
you
I
did a restoration on one, didn't you?
yeah, I did a restoration video. It's on this YouTube channel. Because I got one. It was kind of beat up. Some parts were broken, so I did my whole I did a series of restoration videos on uh how to take it apart, how to clean it, what to use, and how awesome it looked once it was all put back together and new stickers. Um, and yeah, I I will have a real hard time not backing that HasLab if they make that. So I think that's a fantastic.
If I'm pretty sure that's a win.
The next figure on my list is one that I'm pretty sure was on there, but I'm not 100% sure. And that's Hit and Run,
Um,
which
I'm
has
I'm
been.
surprised he hasn't been announced for classified yet.
Yeah, that's another one that kind of is a head scratcher to me as well. As popular as that character is and that figure is, um, yeah, I the more I think about it, it's like, boy, why haven't we seen a Hit and Run yet?
I'm very surprised because he was in the 25th line. The GI Joe Collectors Club did two versions of Hit and Run. Um, I'm very surprised, and the vintage one consistently comes up on people's top 10 favorite vintage GI Joe figures all the time. He's iconic.
Yes,
He's realistic.
yes,
He is the most military of all the he's one of the most military of military figures in the vintage line, and I
especially for
am
the time frame that he came out in.
yeah. Yeah, because he was an '88 release, and he is far and away one of the most popular characters from '88. And I am absolutely flummoxed that he has not been announced or released for classified yet.
Yeah, I am too. The next one on JD's list, the last one on JD's list is no surprise, it's Rip It.
My favorite obscure Cobra. I am one of five people that care about that character in the world, and I might be exaggerating with the five. Um,
I'm really surprised they did not have him as a figure with the HasLab His Tank.
I think the only reason they didn't is because they decided to do the Hiss Tactician in an unreleased color scheme, simply because they were doing a tribute to Ron Rudat, who designed basically the first 6 or 7 years of the Joe line's existence. He designed so many of those characters
Mhm.
that they wound up repainting the Hiss driver in a black and red color scheme that the fans voted on. And his signature is on the box for the
No.
Hiss Tactician. Um, and I think the Hiss Tactician is the only reason why the other figure was not, uh, because there was a male and female Hiss driver in the red,
Yeah.
with the black leg armor, and then there was a Hiss Tactician, which was black and red. But I think at the time I put Rip It on my list, I was like, there's no fucking way. I'm only putting him on my list because I love this character so much. Now that was in 2020. I had no indication and absolutely no expectation way back in 2020 that they would ever make a Hiss driver in the classified line, because they I figured there was no way they were ever going to make a Hiss tank. He had a 25th line release, but they also put out a couple of his tanks in the 25th line.
Yeah.
Um, so now I do think Rip It will make an appearance in the classified line at some point, somehow, some way. But at the time I put him on my list, no, I didn't figure there was any chance. It was my no fucking way. And we did miss one off my list, I think.
Did we?
Yeah.
No.
I may have missed it when I sent you the list.
One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Yes. Yeah, I
I
am.
missed one?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, let me do the last one on my list and then
Yeah.
I'll do yours. The last one on my list, again, should be no surprise, and that is Torpedo. He was my very first G.I. Joe figure. Um, spawned my absolute love for the Navy SEALs. I've done I don't know how many hundreds of Navy SEAL customs. Um, I've done several torpedo customs. Again, that's one of my I did a deluxe torpedo that had like halo gear and dive gear, and the dive gear can go over the halo gear. So like it's the Halo diver, like the Hot Toys figure. Um, and it comes on a real cool card. It's yeah, he's absolutely my favorite GI Joe character of all time. And I think they did a fairly decent job with it.
I think they did a great job with this classified release. I wish that he had come with an alternate head without the hood. Um, because he was so often seen unmasked in the Sunbow cartoon that I wish that he had the head without the diver hood on. But I do have faith they'll make another torpedo at some point where we will get to see his hair. But I think for what it was, an update of the vintage release, they did a phenomenal job with
I really like,
torpedo.
yeah, I think they did a great job. I really like that figure. So what was the last one on your list that we didn't?
Super Trooper,
I
who at the
about
time,
I was wondering about that. I was like, I thought Super Trooper was on your
yeah,
list.
he was. I just forgot to type it when I made the list for you. But at the time when I put him on my list, I'm like, nah, no fucking way. Now,
Yeah.
considering some of the exclusives they've made and some of the wacky characters they've made,
Yeah.
I'm certain that we'll get a Super Trooper. So I don't know if he'll be back metallized chrome
The minute
because
the minute
um,
they announced Starduster, I'm like, you know what?
we're
Super
gonna get Super Trooper at
yeah,
some
we're
point.
gonna
And
get
if we get Super Trooper, we'll probably get a repaint called Rapid Fire. But I'm kind of surprised that we got. No, I'm not surprised we haven't gotten Super Trooper yet. I'm kind of surprised that we got Starduster as early as we did. Um, but now I'm like, well, Super Trooper's got to happen at some point, right? Um,
I will be completely surprised if they do not do a Super Trooper at some point in time. So out of all of JD's list, uh only well, no, I guess three figures technically, because Rip It didn't get made. So three figures on JD's list have no four, I guess. Yeah, four. Okay, four out of 10. That's not bad.
yeah,
4 out of 10 on your list. So six of the figures that you had requested have been made, which I think's phenomenal. On my list, we've got three, four, five. I also we also had boy, I really skipped around because I think the last one on my list was actually Range Viper.
yeah.
But I wasn't I don't remember if that one was on there or not. And that one got made
I'm
too.
certain it was because he's one of your favorite troopers. So, um,
So I had six on my list that got made then too. And I absolutely love the Range Viper. I think they did a fantastic job. Another figure that's gotten two versions of it, because the second version came with the Hiss Fire Team support or
oh,
Hiss.
that's right. So he's red and gray, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I forgot about that one. All right.
it's a phenomenal figure. I ended up I it was kind of expensive because it came with three other figures. I'm like, so I told my wife I'd like it for Christmas last year, and it sold out like the day after I said something.
Oh,
And I'm like, oh man. And I did not expect to see it come back in stock. And shortly after Christmas, it did. I'm like, ooh, I'm like, hey, remember that thing I wanted for Christmas? It's in stock. She's like, get it. So I did end up getting it. So, you know, I think the classified figures, well, the scale is not my favorite, obviously. Um,
I
I
love it.
I still like being able to get GI Joe figures, new GI Joe figures. I think they're doing a fantastic job of it. Like I said, a nice mix of homages to the original figures, blends of the original figures, and just completely redesigns. And I think the variety of those varieties and the character variety that they're picking is what's keeping this line as
Fresh?
yeah, as fresh and vibrant and with no sign of letting up. I mean,
Fuck no.
they we've talked about what I called the wave four syndrome. You know, when they get to the fourth wave of a line, it has lost all of its momentum and just peg worms until they stop making it and nothing gets beyond the fourth wave. And that Hasbro, I can't tell you how many times they've hit that fourth wave wall in different toy lines. Thor, Captain America, GI,
Indiana Jones.
yeah, Indiana Jones, GI Joe themselves. They've had
Yeah,
several.
various series of Joes. Yeah, you get, and that the last series is always hard to find because it's made in smaller numbers.
DTC,
Um,
Pursuit of Cobra, all those hit a wave four wall.
yeah.
Iron Man, uh, almost every line that they've ever done has hit some sort of wave four wall, and Classified has not. And I like that because that keeps GI Joe getting made.
Um,
So let's go down our new lists. Uh,
mine, my list is again, it's a mix of. I am pretty sure within a couple of years we'll probably get a few of these guys, and there's a chance I could be waiting until after the apocalypse for a couple of them. But I'm not going to say there won't be made because at this point they've shown that there is no era of Joe that they are unwilling to tap
yeah,
for classified releases. Um, considering we've gotten what Agent Helix. Sorry, we've gotten Agent Helix, we got Shadow Tracker, we got a bunch of 60th anniversary style generic, like unnamed Joe releases that are kind of like that are realistic military. Uh, we've gotten early 90s figures. We've gotten I'm pretty sure we're even getting a tribute to a 1997 figure with the Trench Viper. So uh, I do think a lot of these will probably happen at some point. But yeah, these are new updated lists of what we want to see in the classified line.
and
We don't know what's on each other's list for this
oh,
one.
yeah,
So
I was gonna say number one, we don't know what's on each other's lists. I tried to do two things with my list. I tried not to carry over from my previous list, the ones that haven't gotten made, and I tried not to make them all just specialty Vipers because obviously that is my thing is specialty Vipers. I didn't really do well on that on either one of those. So
one of mine is a carryover from my first list because, well, of course it was going to be. But the rest of mine are fresh picks. So
most of mine are fresh picks. One is not. The first one on my list is a carryover, and it is the Night Viper, and it's a specialty Viper. I want
and it's
fucking Night Viper, Hasbro.
Yeah. I am endlessly amused at the text that Brian sent me a few weeks ago. He's like, "We're getting fucking Crystal Ball before a Night Viper." I'm like, dude, the Night Viper's got to be in the pipeline. I don't know that for sure. I just assume it is, but I'm amused that Crystal Ball is coming out before the Night Viper. But I also acknowledged that it is some sort of affront to the Night Viper too. So um,
My guess is that they're
they're
really
just spreading it out. That's all.
they're taking their time and they're doing a good job with it.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
that's my hope. All right, first one on your list.
Flash, Anthony Flash Gambello.
That does not surprise me because you had mentioned that previously.
Yeah, I want to see Flash done. I think Flash will get done because the Argentina release character Glenda originally came with Flash's laser rifle and backpack.
Yes.
And the new Glenda figure that's packed with the Dragonfly has Flash's laser rifle and backpack. So if they went to the trouble of sculpting Flash's gear and making it accurate to the 83 figure, I am pretty certain that Flash is in the pipeline somewhere. The classified Flash, they don't have to change much. I will just say this though. Flash is he's he's only had I think he's had one update or maybe two over the years. There was an astronaut version from
Three.
the comic books that does not count. Um,
He's had three
but
versions that I can think of right off the
yeah,
top.
and he had the 25th versions,
Four.
which were terrible toys with.
Because he had a really weird Rise of Cobra figure too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was a great figure that
It-
wasn't Flash. Um, yeah, he had a really gawky 25th figure. But I want to see a great classified release. I have one requirement. Do not update his armor. Give him the quilted square pattern chest armor. Even if you make it more extensive or give him the pads elsewhere or update him a little bit, just give us the squares because
okay.
Flash is one of those. I've seen lots of customs of him with various body armors, but it just, for me, I look at it, I'm like, no, give him the grid pattern chest, a
Okay.
chest armor.
So red or silver.
No, that's Grand Slam. Flash was
Oh,
orange. Um, yeah, Flash only had the uh yeah, he was green with the orange pads. So uh yeah, I want to see Flash done in the classified line.
yeah. All right. Next one on my list. Uh, I want to see a Toxo Viper. I want to see the and I won't. I originally had put version one Toxo Viper. That figure, I had that figure as a kid. It wasn't one of my favorite ones, but it's one of those that's really grown on me over the course of the years. I've made a female version one Toxo Viper, and again, one of my favorite customs because it came out just so well. I got parts from AVAX Lab and did it. Um, and it came out fantastic. I just absolutely love that figure. Uh, I would be happy with both version one and version two Toxo Vipers.
If
I
they're gonna give us a classified Toxo Viper, I would prefer the version 2 because as the Eco Warrior, only because I like the design better. I always thought the version 1 was kind of clunky. I don't mind the color scheme. I always just thought he was kind of a clunky design.
it is
But
it's one of
I
the endearing
think
qualities.
I think they would I don't think they need to update a lot to make him more sleek and more interesting in the classified line. I think.
I want him clunky. I want him as bulky and clunky. I want him.
Oh no, I take that back. No, sleek is not what I'm looking for. Proportionate. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Because they'll probably give him a more bulky suit, And
Yes.
I think that's part of my problem with the original is that the rest of the he had this really elaborate chest apparatus, and
Mhm.
he had this big conical sort of elongated helmet. But then the rest of his uniform was just like a purple coverall.
Yeah.
I feel like if they could make it more of a safety suit, uh, I think he would be more interesting. Um, and I would like to see them do that.
I too. I think a classified Toxo Viper would be fantastic. And like I said, I you do version one and or version two, and I'll be happy with that.
I would be fine. I would be fine with a version one update because I really think that I really think they could nullify some of the issues that the original had and update it so he looks imposing. Yeah.
I do
So
too. And I think they could I think they could do that. All right, next one on your list.
the Flak Viper. Um
Ooh, that one almost made mine.
big burly
Yeah.
uh missile launching grenade backpack. I don't really care what they do with the design as long as he looks like a Flak Viper, it's fine. He doesn't really need the toga pajamas or the I don't I want to see a Flak Viper done because he's never gotten an update, and I really just want to see him in the 6-inch scale.
The figure
Because
made a couple of times, but and once as a nullifier, but because there's four different versions if you count the nullifier, but it's all the same mold. It's just repaint.
right, yeah, he's never gotten a later sculpt. Uh, he's not a character that you see on a lot of favorites lists, unless you look at people like that are like, well, these are my favorite '90s figures. He does make a lot of those lists, but I feel like a couple of years from now, as they keep doing specialty Vipers, I feel like they could do a really badass looking Flak Viper.
I think so too. Black Viper was on my list for a couple, would have been I would consider it an honorable mention actually for two reasons. Number one, Metalhead. I mean, the update that they
Yeah,
did with Metalhead,
yeah,
that's what I want to see them do with the Flak Viper. I don't want to see it a straight homage to the original. I want to see
no,
the kind of update they can do to it. That's one of those figures that I want to see what an update will look like. The second reason that I want to see that is when they finally make a Night Viper and if they make a Flak Viper, we're really closing in on all of the specialty Vipers from the Flaming Moth series.
yeah. Um, I I want to
All the figures because they've made Chuckles and there's a shipwreck. It's not the same shipwreck, but
eh, just give him a life preserver and it would be.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I I feel like the Flak Viper, they've made some big burly figures lately. So yeah, I want to see the Flak Viper looking because the dude is big enough to haul around. Like I feel like the way the backpack just sits on his back, I feel like what they meant it to do was that he could pick it up and hold it and use the missile launcher too. And I could see them doing that because the way they've updated the gear for some of the figures, I could see him having more than one uh more than one missile or more than one weapon system to be armed with. So
Flak Viper is one that I've done as a custom, and really liked how that came out. So yeah, I would love to see the Flak Viper. I think that's a fantastic choice. Almost made my list, but I'm like, I've already got three specialty Vipers on my list. Probably ought to cut it off there. And that third specialty Viper that I want to see is the Heat Viper.
fuck me. I hate the Heat Viper. I'm not surprised it's on your list, but
Uh, I
fucking Viper.
I fucking absolutely hated the Heat Viper as a kid. Did not have it, did not want it, thought it was ugly.
It
and then
was, and it was, and it was.
and the 50th anniversary version is
Did
phenomenal.
nothing to improve it.
The the convention repaint that they did of it is phenomenal.
No,
Yeah,
no,
the
no,
yeah, everything. I
no.
love everything about that figure. I have like the Heat Viper is almost my new sand trooper. I used to have this thing where every time I saw a sand trooper, I would buy it. And just about every time somebody puts up a 50th anniversary Heat Viper, I pick it up. I think I've got
Why?
I love that figure. I think I
No, it's rhetorical. Just why? That's me asking the universe why, why?
because it's fantastic.
Um,
I have two of the convention Python Patrol ones,
idiots.
and I think I have two of the Real American Hero Python Patrol ones too. I got a bunch. I love the Heat Viper. I think it's fantastic. So yeah, Heat Viper version one, and then I would like to see them repaint it in the Toys R Us um, Python Patrol colors. And you don't hear me say that very often. So
No, no.
I promise the pod people don't have me. I but I absolutely love that Toys R Us Python Patrol set. I have most of the figures. I don't think I have the Major Blood, but I have most of the figures from that set. And that Major Blood's super expensive. That's the only reason.
Yeah, it is. Um,
The reason
yeah,
because that Major Blood's super expensive. But
it's
yeah,
awesome.
next one on your list.
You know what? I'm just gonna get my one carryover from and it's Rip It. Because god damn it. Again, nobody except me and one other person I know of gives a shit about Rip It. But
I would
um
not be surprised to see him show up in the retro line.
well, you know what? When he showed up with the retro history as the Walmart exclusive a couple of years ago, and he was named Rip It on the box, I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, that was my first indication. I'm like, oh, fuck. Hasbro does remember who he is. And it really made his entry on my 2020 wish list seem a lot less far fetched.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, so if they ever do a retro release of the his, but I could see them maybe doing a blue maybe just calling it a his. Even if they didn't give him the code name as a retro release, or even if they put him in a multi-pack where there's a his driver that's
Yeah,
blue,
yeah.
I'd go for that. I'd just be happy to see it.
I,
Um,
I would.
my
That's
other
another one.
carryovers from my previous list are only on this list as honorable mentions.
Fair enough. I will be surprised if it doesn't get made. I think
Um,
it. I think it's. I hadn't thought about like a multi-pack, but that's a good idea. I think that would be a good one, and the retro line just seems perfect for that. I
yeah,
can also see them. Well, I was gonna say I could see them repainting the HasLab Hiss tank at some point in time, and but they have never, ever, ever re-released anything ever out of any HasLab in any line that they have ever.
yeah, and I don't think they will simply because I think that's their way of keeping the HasLab projects special to the HasLab. I could see them doing another, like a smaller vehicle release and maybe putting Rip It in with that, like a smaller tank or something, or some other piece of artillery gear. Like if they, um, like if they, honestly, like if they ever did a smaller tank like the Adder or something. I don't think they would do the, but you know what I mean. If
Yeah,
it, I could see a different tank, not not nearly as grandiose as that his tank. I could see them putting him out with something like that,
you know
maybe.
what would be cool is if they did an asp and put him in with an asp, the gun pod.
Oh, the elevating, like the shoreline defender thing. Okay, yeah, I think that would be cool because he's got to have some sort of mobile artillery or mobile uh um like he's got to come with a transport of some sort if he's going to come with a vehicle, if he's not in a multi pack. But yeah, I don't think he's exaggerated anymore. But
I don't think so either. I think it's just a matter of time on how they decide to do it. The next one on my list um, is Fast Draw. Between the update of um, Tripwire and Metalhead, I think they could do some fantastic things with Fast Draw, and I would really like to see what kind of an update they can do for him. Uh, I had the original figure as a kid, absolutely loved it. I made a custom a number of years back, long after I stopped making O-ring customs. Um, it took two of the backpacks, cut the missile launchers off one, and glued them to the bottom so he could actually have four missiles instead of just two. Um, and I still have that custom somewhere. It's not I haven't put it on a card anywhere, but I need to dig that out. Um, but I would really like to see what they could do with Fast Draw, and I think it's just a matter of time.
so the next one on my list is Fast Draw. Um, I between what they did with Tripwire, Metalhead, what we just saw in the render with Blowtorch, um, the Techno Viper, I really think they could do a lot with Fast Draw, keeping the same basic design with the because he was a bulky figure with like like armored coveralls or something. But what we just saw with Blowtorch, um, I feel like they could really do a badass sculpt of him. And yeah, update the weapon system so he's got more than two. Once he launches these two missiles, he's spent. No, you know what? What they did with the upcoming heavy duty, where it's
Yeah,
not just a huge Gatling gun anymore. He's got a whole armored rig. He's got a whole like there's an exoskeleton to it, and the orientation of the weapons can be moved around. I could easily see Fast Draw coming um with the multi orientation weapons system, and I mean obviously he would be a deluxe figure, but um I really figure we could see him with um like they could go all out with him, go absolutely nuts with him, and um because Fast Draw has got one update. The club did it. Wasn't a great update. Um,
it's not.
but uh he's never like Hasbro themselves have never updated him, but I could see them going nuts with the classified version.
I could too.
And I had no idea Fast Draw was going to be on your list, but yeah, he's so it's a happy accident that he's on both of our lists. But yeah, ever since Metalhead, Tripwire, Blowtorch, I'm like, fuck, I gotta see Fast Draw.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Next one on my list. Um, I actually went so I like I said, I tried to steer away from the specialty Vipers because let's be honest, I would be happy if they made every single specialty Viper in the classified line. So instead, I went down the Iron Grenadier rabbit hole. Uh, Target, for all the reasons we just talked about.
Oh yeah,
I'm not even going to repeat all the reasons because everything we just said about all those figures that have come out in the deluxe line, just like those
yeah,
comments.
just yeah, just yeah, uh give him the huge space backpack with turbines and flip out wings and fuck yes.
Yeah,
Um, I I really would be very curious to see what they would do with him. And I don't think that's an if. I think that's a when.
It is too.
And fuck, I'm really looking forward to it when they actually do it.
Yep. I am too. I think
And
that's
on the package, call him the Target, but at some point, like in parentheses, they have got to put what it stands for: the Trans-Atmospheric Rapid Global Assault Trooper. I fucking love that acronym so much
I do too.
that it endeared me to the troop class. Um,
Ab-
are they jetpack kamikaze space guys? Yeah. Would you be nuts? Would you have to be nuts to do that job? Yeah. Um, but Destro would pay them very well to do that. All they'd have to do is survive to collect their paycheck.
yeah, pretty much. So yeah, that was the next one on my list. Go with yours.
Um, Slice, Cobra Ninja Slice. Um,
Yeah, I can see that.
yeah, I've seen lots of 3D printed heads for him, and a lot of them are really cool. But Hasbro's done a few ninjas. They gave us Jinx. They gave us Nunchuck, who I still don't own, but I will buy at some point. Um,
Kamakura.
and yeah, they gave us Kamakura. We've gotten a few versions of Storm Shadow. Give us Slice. Um,
I think that one's a matter of time too. And
I think so too.
I could see them doing a two pack and having it slice and dice two pack.
You know what? Spoiler alert from an X pick is Dice, because in my opinion, you can't have one without the other. Even though Hasbro's made a few extra versions of Slice in different colors, without updating Dice, but they are my favorite Cobra Ninjas. They are one of my favorite duo characters in Cobra, and they're actually at the top of my Cobra wish list for classified, and I do think they'll get to them at some point.
I
I
do.
just wish they'd hurry up.
Yeah, I can't see them not making those. You know, when we start made the original list, I would say no way in hell.
No, they didn't make my original list because I figured they were more unlikely than Metalhead, Rip It, and Super Trooper. I figured that they were. I did not expect that they would ever go past 1990 in the classified line. In fact, at the time, I didn't. I figured that if classified was not a huge hit, I didn't think they'd get much past 86 with the classic figures. So it's only in the last 2 years that I'm like, oh fuck. They were way down on my wish list initially, like top 20 towards the bottom, figuring they're that unlikely to get made. So yeah, they keep creeping up now. So
All right. Next one on my list, I'm gonna do since JD did two, I'll do two real quick.
yeah,
Uh is again still in the Iron Grenadier vein is the Annihilator. The
fuck
Annihilator,
yeah.
the original figure was a fun figure as a kid. I really loved it. They did a update of it for a convention set.
Not a great update.
It's not bad. I think that it's not horrible. It's not fantastic, but using existing parts, I think they did a passable job with it.
I think they did a horribly lazy job on it.
I'm surprised that there wasn't one in the 25th anniversary line.
Yeah. Yeah. So Hasbro's never updated him. The club did, but I think judging by some of the other 1989 releases that we've seen in classified so far and what we're going to see with Darklon, I know the Annihilator has to be probably in the pipeline, and I'm very curious what it will look like.
So the next one, since I'm doing two, again, Iron Grenadier, I have to think it's in the pipeline because parts pretty much already exist for it, and that's Undertow.
Oh yeah,
You just a few new pieces and some accessories in
give him that cool mask that the
yeah,
original came with. Um,
and then just the Cobra Eel body. And
um, yeah. Give him the new breathing apparatus, chest armor. Give him the mask, and Yeah, just repaint it in the and keep the classic color scheme. It's weird, it's random, it's iconic.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that just seems like one that will get made. It's just a matter of time of when.
Yeah.
All right, go with your next one.
Uh Hardball. Um
Let's put Hardball on my list too.
yeah, dudes, you know, dude dude's armed with a grenade launcher, with the giant drum and everything. Um we've already seen a similar accessory in the classified line with the range viper. So I really think they'll get to hardball at some point. But here's what I want to see: keep the baseball jersey,
Yes.
update the look, give him the baseball cap, uh, faithfully play into the baseball um, theme the same way they did with Bazooka. They kept the football jersey and everything, and just maybe give him a flak vest. So when he's running around out there with his grenades, he's got, I don't know, maybe a little bit of protection. Um,
Yeah,
maybe, give him the hat, but also maybe give him a helmet just in case. But
I think I did a hardball custom a couple of years ago. I think I gave mine a plate carrier. I think I gave
yeah,
him body
um,
armor.
it's
That
just
was
sensible. Make it removable so we can see the baseball jersey
if I
when
find it.
when he's back at the base. But for when he gets deployed, yeah, give him body armor and give him a helmet, but otherwise make him faithful to the original hardball. They don't have to change anything with the design. They just have to give him some battlefield protection.
Yeah, he's up there somewhere. I don't know where he's at. I can't see him right off the top of my head. But I was gonna see if I gave mine a plate carrier, but I don't know. Um, the next one on my list isn't really a specialty viper, but sort of is. Uh, Desert Scorpion.
Uh, I'm curious about a classified version of him too. I never saw him as a Viper. When in my head, when I was a kid, when I had him, I used him as a guy. He was just an individual. I used him as Cobra's answer to Dusty.
Ah,
G.I. Joe had their own desert specialty guy that could survive by himself in the desert for 3 deployments in a row. And I figured that Cobra would want their own version. So they'd get a guy, make him wear a mask that he would sweat to death in. But it would make him nice and angry and a great scrapper. Um,
I saw a custom of it probably yesterday or the day before, and they did a phenomenal job of it. And
did it really drive home that you want to see one in the classified line?
uh, I'm like, they they just need to make that custom production, and it's perfect.
Well, now I want to see this custom. So,
Yeah, I'll see if
uh,
I can find it again. I'll send you a picture of it.
um, yeah, that's a real good choice. They don't need to put the giant scorpion with him, but you know what? Fuck it. The way they've been doing the animals in the classified line with
I
all kinds of articulation and
Yeah,
badass detailed sculpts, and it'll be really gross, but you know what? Fuck it. Just give him the scorpion.
yeah,
Or
no
make it,
scorpion.
yeah, because the club, when they did their crappy version, their really shitty update of the Desert Scorpion for the figure subscription service, they gave him the robot scorpion from the Valor versus Venom Sand Scorpion. And you know what?
I
All
didn't.
right, if you want to go that way with it, that's cool too. But just make the Desert Scorpion look like a complete badass, like his card art did, and like his original figure did, and not like not like the incompetent troopers that all of Cobra's minions were in the Deke cartoon.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So, um, I'll try and remember to find that one for you. All right. Next one on your list.
Don Moreno's Snake Eyes,
Ooh,
um, from the
that
comic books.
that one almost made my list too.
Um,
Talked to Jamie Tyndall. He comes to Denver every year for Denver Comic Con. I've seen him 3 years in a row. I've done two customs based off of his artwork, and he's autographed them for me. And he is surprised that they have not made that figure.
I I thought for sure when they started going off the beaten path with classified releases, I thought for sure that because she's been around in the comic books now for a decade, I really thought that in the classified line they would capitalize on that and put her and put her out. Now that does not say that they won't. I'm just kind of surprised that they haven't, especially because if you look at Nemesis Enforcer, no, Nemesis Immortal as he's called now,
Yeah. Well,
he
that's
looks
oh, that
more like
too.
he looks more like the Skybound comic book version of Nemesis Immortal than he does the vintage Nemesis Enforcer figure. And that tells me they are they are making nods to the new comics. So I really want to see Don Moreno's uh the replacement for Snake Eyes or the newer character. I want to see them make her in the classified line and knock it out of the park because I have no doubts that they will. I've
Yeah.
almost bought a couple of head sculpts of her for classified to make my own custom, but I keep hoping the Hasbro will just pull their head out of their ass and announce that already.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
the only thing holding me back. I did a Don Moreno Storm Shadow uh based off of alternate cover art that Jaime Tyndall had done.
yeah,
And that's the custom I have made and have autographed by him. And just I know somebody, I can hear you out there. You're saying licensing rights. Jamie says he does not have any rights to that character at all. Hasbro owns that.
any of these characters that are created for the GI Joe comic books, they're it's all Hasbro stuff.
Yeah,
Like has like Larry Hama never owned Quinn.
right.
He doesn't own Doctor Venom. Hasbro can make whoever they want from the comics. They just need to decide. You know what? We're gonna make that. And uh, I mean, they've got Heart Wrencher in the pipeline,
Yeah.
and she's a dreadnought from the Devil's Due comics like 20 years ago. So yeah, I don't think Don Moreno has licensing rights. I think it's just a matter of they haven't decided where to put her in yet. But I hope she comes out sooner than later, and I want to see it.
Because I will pick up a couple of them and I don't do 6-inch customs, but I will do another Storm Shadow Don Moreno custom because I really love that card art.
Uh,
The next one on my list is Headhunter Stormtrooper. I think that is probably my favorite sculpt out of the Real American Hero line. It's not my favorite figure, it's not my favorite character, but it is my favorite sculpt. That sculpt is and paint work on that figure is just amazing. I absolutely love that figure. I have both versions of it um, because they did a release repaint of it in a convention set.
eh,
Um,
it was a shitty Frankenstein.
I
Um,
It's fantastic. I absolutely love that figure.
all
Uh,
right, it had the upper half of the Headhunter Stormtrooper. It had the lower half of the Rock Viper. Not as magical as the original. If they do a classified version, spikes everywhere, just like the original.
Absolutely.
Um, I don't care if it's a black leather gimp suit covered in spikes. I don't care. Yeah, make it accurate. Give him the skull, the superimposing skull helmet, and make it a badass. I That's kind of one of those troopers because he was a DEF. No, he was almost a DEF release. He wasn't. He wound up Battle Corps, but he's kind of one of those that I often forget about. But I like that choice.
And I think that's one that's has the potential to get made, but not anytime soon.
No. Um,
but I could be wrong, and I would very much like to be wrong about that.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good choice. I like it.
All right,
Uh,
what's your next one? And yeah, your next one there.
uh, Torpedo from 2002. I want to see a classified version. Give him the knit cap. But make it removable, or at least give him an alternate head sculpt so he's got the black knit watch cap. But have him one without it so we can see his hair. So if they're not, so give him the alternate unmasked head that we didn't get with the classified release with the diving suit,
Yeah,
but give him the green fatigues,
yeah,
give him a flak vest, make him a land based Navy SEAL custom. Because at the time when that figure was released in the Spy Troops line back in 2002, that was the first land based military fatigues seal that we'd seen in the line.
yeah,
There had been a tracker figure, but he was wearing fitness gear,
yeah.
not exactly the same effect.
Sweatpants.
Um, but I want to see a classified update of land fatigues torpedo and make it a tribute. Give him a removable breathing apparatus like the Spy Troops figure had, um, but yeah, give him the green fatigues, give him the watch cap, make him look like the badass killer that he could be on land, that he was in the water.
I
I
think,
want to see that figure updated. Maybe just give him some camouflage, but otherwise, don't change anything else. Just make him classified.
and that uh kind of reminds me of one of my honorable mentions, and that is the convention Mission Brazil wetsuit.
Ah, okay,
That is
yeah,
that is one figure I do not have, never will own, because they are super expensive and is a grail.
yeah. I'm really glad I have one.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
um,
Well, I have an autographed figure from Agent Coulson, so
shut
there.
up. Um, I'll have that someday.
Uh,
Um, but
I
yeah,
would.
that torpedo was my favorite figure from 2002, and
It was.
I want to see that in the classified line so fucking bad.
That's a good idea. My last one is gonna go way left field. I had to pick something super esoteric that like there's no way they're gonna make this, and that is Ghost Bear.
Whoa! Oh wow! Okay, yeah. Um, yeah, Ghost Bear from the Valor versus Venom line. Um, on the file card, he's Quinn the Eskimo son.
Yep.
There is nothing about that figure that says that he's in any way related to Quinn, but they could fix that with the classified version, give him some kind of tribute to Quinn. But fuck, that's a really good choice. I really like that. He was a nifty looking character. Like he had what, gray coveralls, mask, red goggles. Um,
Like your red hair.
he had a very 90s, like he had a mask, but the hair was sticking out of the top of it. But he was a great looking character that only got that one version, never gotten an update, and even the club didn't go near Ghost Bear again.
Nope. Came
So
with the mech.
um,
He
yeah,
was,
that's right. He was released with a mech, and I was trying to remember what vehicle he came with, but yeah, that's right. It was a mech, not a vehicle.
I have that in my collection.
Wow, yeah, that's a good choice. I never would have thought about him.
Yeah.
Um,
You know what made me think about that is the fact that Gridiron is doing the mech legs, and
yeah, yeah,
um possibly more. We really can't say too much about that. We were sworn to secrecy
yeah,
on that.
yeah,
But suffice it to say, you might need a ghost bear in your collection. In
yeah, yeah.
uh,
I think
that's all I can say about that.
I really, yeah, I really hope that they do that. That they make a Ghost Bear at some point. It might not be for a few years, but I think he's a neat. I think he's a neat choice.
Yeah. So that is my way out there left field choice.
Yeah, that is left field.
Yeah.
When you said it was out of left field, I'm like, ooh, can't wait to hear what this is going to be. Yeah, it's a good choice. My last choice from the same era, Venomous Maximus.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm.
whether you make him a mutated version of General Hawk or not, I really don't care. Make him a big, burly, badass sculpt. Give him the long hair. Give him the the fangs, like
Mm.
like, make him like a what is that game? World of Warcraft with the
Oh,
orcs with
like
the or the goblins with the giant tusks.
yeah.
Do that with him. Give him the armor. Give him the weird arm. Just make him a big burly badass. We've seen it now with Road Pig, the Nemesis Immortal figure, the Serpentor figure. They're making some big burly dudes. Now is the time. Make Venomous Maximus. Um,
That's an
I
interesting choice.
loved the look of that character. But back when he was first released, I was like, the figure, I felt like he was too short, but that was a nitpick on my part. My whole thing was I wish that he had stuck around. I wish that they had done more with him. I wish he had appeared in the comic books. Basically, I wish Venomous Maximus had made more of a splash with the fans
Yeah.
so he would not have fallen into obscurity as fast as he did. But
I
I
think
remember him, and
that's
I would love to see a classified version of him.
I think if they had come out with that more at the height of the zombies, that might have
Yeah.
caught on.
Yeah. Yeah, if they had re-released him later, or if they had or even if he had shown up like in a comic book or whatever, just yeah, I would love to see the classified team tackle that character.
Yeah,
Um
would be
out
interesting.
of nowhere, but I really do think that I mean, I've seen a few classified customs. I made a classified custom of him. It's not great, but I made a classified custom. But I want to see Hasbro make a better figure than I ever could. But yeah, just make him big, ready to kick some ass, and play up the mutant aspect of him. Make him look scary.
Yeah, yeah, man, yeah, that is an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, in 2020, I would have said, "Fuck no, that's never going to happen." Now that we just saw a release of Nemesis Immortal and and um we've gotten like what were those guys called with the dark energon faces, the zombies, the mole rats? Is
Oh
that
yeah,
what they were called?
yeah,
Yeah, like we are seeing some weird and mutated characters. I mean, we just look, once was a man Cobra Commander with two different stages of Cobra Commander's mutation. Um, we're seeing some of the crazier stuff. Well, now I really think an update of Venomous Maximus would go a long way in finding a fan base for him that he's just never had before.
yeah. Yeah, I have to agree with that. Actually, I would
I don't
not.
know that you would buy it, but I would pre-order it
I think
immediately.
I
I
would.
would buy
I'm
two just
thinking,
because they made him.
would I buy that? I don't know. I'd have that would be one I would have to see. I
Um, yeah, if you didn't buy it, yeah, I'd buy two. So, and if they made him a set where he had like the transformation tank, like that was huge, because there was a play set back in the Valor versus Venom, like there was a diorama set and it had a tank with like a it was like a translucent
yes,
version of Venomous Maximus, and it had like a control panel that Doctor Mindbender could stand at and type, and
yep,
it had like a little platform to stand on, I think. But yeah, even if he's a deluxe set with the tank, I think it would be phenomenal.
if they did a translucent version, I would have to buy it. I am a
Of course you would. You
sucker.
love gimmicky stuff.
No,
Um,
translucent figures. I would like to see them. They don't even need to update the mold if they just did the current bat they have in translucent red and called it the fire bat.
Inferno Bat.
Burn bat, thank you. I'm like, no, that isn't right. Um,
Fire Bat was the little plane that came
yeah,
out of the,
yeah, I'm like,
the
no,
Terradrome.
that's the vehicle. That's
Yeah.
the AVAC pilots that but if they did the Inferno bat in translucent plastic in the current mold,
Oh, I would fucking buy the hell out of that too.
yeah,
Um, um, but
that would
yeah, like you know what? Do a 2-pack. Give us a transforming translucent Venomous Maximus. Give us a fully painted Venomous Maximus with the tank. Make it a deluxe $100 set. I don't give a fuck. I'm still buying it.
or
Um,
do the tank and then put the fully painted one in the retro line.
yeah, just whatever. You know what? God damn it, Hasbro, please give us a Venomous Maximus. They're doing such great work. I would love to see it.
Yeah. So those are our lists. I think we need to revisit this episode in a couple of years and see where we're at. We won't lose this episode this time.
No, no, we will not. Yeah, because we haven't lost an episode since that string of them in 2020. So yeah, we should be good on this one. And make sure you put in the show notes. These are our wish lists. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, as always, please do that fun social media stuff. Like, share, subscribe, comment below. We would love to hear what figures were on your list in 2020 that did and did not get made, and what figures you're hoping for in the future. Put those in the comments below. And of course, if you have suggestions for the show, comments, we do look at those. We're getting a lot of comments recently. I appreciate that. I'm glad that people are watching. And as always, thanks for watching and stay tuned because we have plenty more stuff planned.
Thank you, everybody.